So at long last, the very first trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu has finally been officially dropped to the public. After a numerous amount of leaked trailers floating around the internet for a long time now, and multiple different trailer release dates that have come and gone, each time resulting in the trailer getting delayed, alas, Disney has finally decided to release the first trailer on a random Monday in September. Yeah, very odd timing from Lucasfilm, but I don't really care much for all the strategic marketing stuff. All I care about is whether the content is good. And after watching the trailer a number of times now, I can safely say that this just about lines up with what I was expecting. It is a pretty big nothing burger of a trailer. Not good, but also something that I wouldn't say is objectively terrible either, just very reserved. They are not showing a lot of anything here. And perhaps that's to be expected to a degree, but I do think that the trailer is way too bland for its own good. There's nothing shown here that I think is going to muster up that much excitement. Most of everything shown is stuff that we already knew based off of leaked trailers and other leaked material. And that's very concerning because that is a trailer's sole purpose, to generate excitement. There's way too many Grogu gimmicky type of shots. Next to nothing of the general story is revealed and what this movie is all about, and it's overall just a pretty boring trailer. The Mandalorian and Grogu is already going to be fighting an immense uphill battle. The Star Wars brand is in an absolutely horrendous state, an all-time low. The general public has completely lost interest in this IP. I think it would have been much wiser on Lucasfilm's part to really swing for the fences with this trailer. Show a lot of more interesting shots, give us an idea of what the story's going to be, make the trailer a little longer. That way, people would have much more things to latch onto and pique their interest. So the hype train for this movie could really get started. Cause that's the only way that this film can possibly succeed from a financial perspective. If enough hype is generated among the general public in the lead up. I promise you, Lucasfilm, that just slapping the Star Wars logo is not going to cut it. You've got to work hard if you want to make this film a success. Cause all signs right now are pointing to this film being a flop. But let's shift gears a little bit and take a look at some of the shots of the trailer, and I'll give some of my thoughts and some of the things that spiked my interest. In the first shot, we see a Razor Crest flying past a tropical beach. So it would appear that Mando has gotten his hands on a new Razor Crest, or at least I think it's a new one given the yellow stripes on the top. It would be pretty stupid if this turns out to be the old Razor Crest, considering and they just put all the pieces back together like it's a Lego set or something. But assuming they don't do something that stupid, and this is in fact a new ship of the same model, I'm pretty fine with this because the Razor Crest is much more of a fitting ship for a bounty hunter like Din than the N1 starfighter he's been flying around as of recent. Nothing against that ship, but the Razor Crest has much more of that iconic Mando vibe to it, so I'm glad to see its return. We then see Mando and Grogu scoping out an Imperial base from a far away hill, which appears to be on that same tropical planet from the previous shot. Now what exactly they are hoping to steal from this base, I don't really have any ideas. It is still pretty unclear based on the leaks on how the Empire is going to tie into everything, so I don't have any answers there. What does have me intrigued to find out though is what faction of the Empire this base is under. As we saw back in Mandalorian Season 3, the Empire at this point is only loosely being held together through the Shadow Council, the last of the more higher ranking Imperials, who all have certain parts of the Empire under their command, but it's more so turned into Imperial tribes rather than a unified empire. There's no universally accepted central authority figure leading the Empire at the moment. In Legends, that's what Thrawn emerged as at this same point in the timeline, and it seems that's the direction they're heading in with the Ahsoka series, but we don't know if Thrawn has established himself as the leader yet, so it would be interesting to see what Moff, Admiral, General, or whoever commands this base and section of Imperial space, if it's even revealed at all. We then see Anzelin and Grogu making their way through the sewer, although to where we don't exactly know. There are a couple of other sewer shots later in the trailer, so this is probably an important scene whatever it ends up being, and it seems like the Grogu-Anzelin species relationship that we first saw back in Mando Season 3 will be continuing on here in the movie. The next sequence of shots lines up perfectly with the leaks and leaked footage that was floating around the internet. So Mando and Grogu sit down at a table with Sigourney Weaver's character, who appears to be a high-ranking ranking member of the New Republic at what appears to be a New Republic base. Now, based on the leaks, this is likely going to be the scene where Mando gets the job from Sigourney Weaver to seek out and retrieve Rota the Hutt, Jabba the Hutt's son, who we see later in the trailer. Now, whether Mando at this point is consistently working for and taking bounty hunting jobs for the New Republic, or whether this is just a one-off incident that he was called in for, remains to be seen. If I had to guess, I would probably lean towards him consistently working for the New Republic now, because based off the previous seasons, it seems like that's the moral direction that his character has been heading in. Moving on, we then get a brief couple of shots of Mando showing up at a bar and kicking some people's asses. The first thing I thought of when I saw this was it reminded me of the opening scene from Mandalorian Season 2, where Mando similarly shows up at a gladiator boxing club place and proceeds to kill everybody. Now, just judging based off the design of the interior, it doesn't look like it's an Imperial establishment. I don't see any iconography here. It also looks a little too nice to be a place run by the Hutts. So if I had to guess, since this doesn't look like it's controlled by the Empire or the Hutts, this is likely a scene that takes place early in the film. I actually wouldn't be surprised if this is an opening action set piece. After this, there's a brief shot of an interesting looking alien. I have no clue what species this is. I've seen some people say that this may be an updated design from one of the aliens seen in Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi, although that's just theorizing, of course. But it does look like this alien is in an underground sewer, so this may be a foe that Grogu and the Anzellan run into while they're down there. Cut to Mando. Him and Grogu are in the Razor Crest and get chased through the sky by what looks like to be Imperials, although it's too fast and blurry for me to really make it out. That definitely isn't TIE fighters, but they may be TIE interceptors. That's my best guess. Okay, Baby Yoda swimming, not really much to say there, but then we get our first and only shot of Zeb in the trailer. Now, we knew that Zeb was going to be in this film. All of the leaks were suggesting it, as well as it being confirmed in some of the leaked trailer footage from months back. Now, this isn't his first live-action appearance. He briefly appeared in Mandalorian Season 3 as a CGI model, but all he did was sit and talk. So the fact that they've got him bouncing off walls and shit like that likely means that they're confident in their motion capture ability with him. At least that's what I'm guessing. I would assume he's motion capture. We also see that he's taking on Imperial stormtroopers, which signals to me that he's probably going to be working together with Mando in some capacity throughout the course of the film. Skip forward a couple of shots. One of the big leaks that we knew was coming that we now finally get to see in action in high resolution instead of just stills is the gladiator Rota the Hutt. Now, for those who are unaware, Rota the Hutt is the son of Jabba the Hutt, who we've only seen one time as a baby all the way back in the Clone Wars movie. This is decades later in the timeline though, so he's now grown up to be a jacked gladiator. Now, this is one of the major leaked plot points for the film. Mando and Grogu are going to be hired by Sigourney Weaver to retrieve Rota for whatever reason that may be, which suggests to me that it's likely that Rota isn't here by choice, but is in fact a prisoner being forced to take part in gladiator fights. Judging off the first poster for the film too, perhaps it's Jabba's cousins, who you'll remember from the abomination that was the Book of Boba Fett, that are the ones imprisoning him. That's my best guess as of right now. We then get a brief shot of Mando fighting off some mechs. Now, I have no clue what these are or who they might belong to. However, there is a noticeable symbol there on the door which may be a clue, so if you have any ideas, make sure to let us know in the comments below. Cut back to the gladiator fight, and Mando has jumped in the ring and is trying to tame a lizard, who is likely one of Rota's opponents. This creature looks kinda similar to a Rancor. He gives off a similar sort of vibe, but is noticeably a little different looking. He looks a little more like a lizard thing than a meatball monster, and Mando is likely intervening in the fight as a means of helping Rota escape with him. The next 12 seconds, funny enough, is already becoming somewhat of a meme already. I see a lot of people talking about it. It is just 12 seconds of an AT-AT falling. It's not that it's bad. Actually, the leaked trailer footage of the build-up to these shots, the fight inside the AT-AT, I will admit does actually look pretty badass, but they should have trimmed this down. There is no need for a 12-second sequence of an AT-AT falling off a cliff at the end of your only 1.5 minute trailer. 94 seconds is not a lot of time. You have to make the most out of it, and this was not the greatest use of 12 seconds. Also, I can't quite put my finger on it, but am I the only one that thinks this CGI looks a little bit off? I don't know. There's something about it that it just doesn't look finished. So I'm really hoping that they go back and clean it up a little. We then get what might actually be the best part of the trailer, the title card. I actually quite like this font. It looks leaps and bounds better than the title card from when the film was first announced. I've heard a lot of people say that it really gives off that Indiana Jones Western vibe, and I'd agree. And especially with the first poster that they've drawn up, I think it fits really well. There is one final shot of Grogu shooting what looks like to be some sort of Cyclops rat in the eye, with those little green practice darts they were using back in Mandalorian Season 3. And yeah, that is it. That is it for this first trailer. Like I said, it was very vanilla. Lucasfilm are holding a lot more in-depth details about the film close to their chest, which is to their detriment in my opinion. I'm seeing some people say that this is the worst Star Wars trailer of all time. I don't know if I'd go that far, but perhaps for a film, this is definitely one of the worst Star Wars film trailers of all time. Because even for other bad Star Wars movies like The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi, those trailers got people beyond excited to see the films. Those had people theorizing and anticipating the releases for months in advance. But here with The Mandalorian and Grogu, that is not the case. I don't think this is going to get anybody excited that isn't already intimately absorbed in the Star Wars franchise. But with all that said, that just about wraps up my thoughts for the trailer and what we've seen so far for The Mandalorian and Grogu. So now that you know my thoughts on it, what did you guys think of the first trailer? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you more like me and just thought that it was a big meh and didn't really do anything for you? Make sure to take to the comments below and let me know your guys' thoughts. Also, if you've made it to the end of the video and you want to see more content like this, then make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot, so the support would be greatly appreciated. But anyways, that's all I got for today. I will see you guys in the next one.